And I thought I'd just hop on real quick and we could paint this cute little fall bird. I'm so excited for fall. It is my favorite time of year every year. And I just thought this would be really fun to paint right now. So let me kind of hold on for a minute here. Let's just see. It looks like I am sideways as usual. So let's fix that. There we go. I don't know why I always seem to get sideways. There we go. That's a little bit better. I'll scroll in a bit. Hi, Kimberly. I am just hopping on. Hi, Julie B. Yeah, I happened to be sitting here playing with this little bird, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to hop on a live, say hello to everybody, and we'll paint a little bit. So this is a really pretty easy one. And I'm just so excited. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. Yeah, they're kind of fun, aren't they? I love fall. So I'm getting excited. I know I'm a little early. I'm probably earlier than most, but I just had to hop on and paint this. So this is a little guy I was just playing with right now. And I pretty much, it's just freehand. I mean, he looks like an egg, doesn't he? I thought so. So that's what I'm going to paint here. Hi, Cynthia. Oh, thank you. Hi, Susie. So this is my cold press paper. As you guys know, that's predominantly what I use, cold press. I like that texture. And I'm going to be using my Paul Rubens MeiLiang palette, same one I always share. So if you want to paint along, I would love that. Just going to give these a little spritz. And I'll be using my number 8 brush. But you know, my other favorite one is, this is the Princeton Neptune. It's really soft. I might actually use that because it's a little bit softer. Mine's a little bit snappier. Hi, Louise. Oh, you did. Oh, I'm glad to see that the notifications work. Hi, Susie. Okay, so I think I will use my round Neptune, which, by the way, the Neptune is a little softer, but I'm painting pretty wet and wet here, so I think that will work just fine. Okay, so I didn't really have a pattern for this. I kind of sketched it out a bit. This one I did just completely freehand because I was just flowing and playing and having fun. Let's see. I think I might turn on my light here. It looks almost a little shadowy. Give me 1 second, guys. Girls. Me turn that on and you tell me if it's better. There we go. It's a heat wave here in California, but it's also kind of cloudy, so I don't know. We got crazy weather here in California. So I think that's a little bit better. So basically, I mean, this little guy, it's kind of like I said, an egg shape. Then what I did is I left a space for his wing here, really easy, just brush strokes. And then I used a little pen and ink. I used my Micron pen here. Minimal, they said. I know. So this is my Micron. I'm just gonna draw his little eyeball there. All right. So let's do this. I've got my palette here, but I don't think you guys can see it. One of these days I'm going to figure out how to, you know how tech challenged I am, girls. I'm going to figure out how to get it landscape view. But meanwhile, monsoon, I know, it's crazy here. Okay, so I'm going to use that. Let me scoot this over. I have this really fun giant palette, but it's not fitting in here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put a little bit of I don't want to use black. I want to use like the Prussian blue because I just love that color. So I'm going to put a little of that. Kind of has a bluish tint in it. So it's not completely black. And this is many times my go-to instead of black. So I've got that in there. I'm just going to mix it about 50%. It's pretty movable, guys. I mean, that's moving a lot. And keep in mind, I'm using a soft brush. So this brush, the softer the brush, it's really gonna pick up a lot of paint. So I'll have to do that tap, tap, tap thing a lot. And then I'm going to use some Van Dyke Brown. So I will get some of that in here just for the branches. And you guys, is anybody else like a full-on fall lover? Here it is hot and I am so excited for fall. Like I can't even wait. And then for some of those leaves, hi Jean, I really wanted to use some of these really pretty reds and oranges. So I'm going to put, let's see, let's go with our Cad Orange. This actually may be Cad Red or Vermilion. But you know, use like those fall colors that you like. Get some of that in there. That's a pretty warm orange. Oh, I know. And we've had a heat wave here. So I think everybody in California is like, bring on fall, people. Let's see. I have a little yellow ochre in there, so I'll put some of that in. Always being careful because that yellow ochre is pretty potent. So I'll mix a little bit more water with that. And let's see. I'm almost tempted to use a little bit of our favorite girls, that gold, but I didn't use it here, so I don't know if I will do that. I'm going to go ahead and just get some of that MAB Brilliant Gold wet, just in case. There we go. Get that kind of softened up, and I'll have that right here. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Hi, Melissa. Okay, there we go. So, like I said, you can kind of sketch this out. I did it on that one I just showed you, but basically, my birdies, I always kind of, I don't know if you can see this or not, I kind of do like a half circle, and I gave this little guy some hairs on his head, and then hairs, not hairs, feathers. That's funny. And like that, and then his little tail feathers. So just, I'm doing this a little bit darker for you guys to see. So that's kind of what I did. And then of course his little beak here and his eye. And I think we're good. And then we'll do some of those pretty fall colored leaves. All right, so this is definitely darker than I did on my original because I didn't really want the pencil lines to show up. Oh, use the gold? Oh, you will. You know me well, don't you, Julie? I'm always doing that. I'm done, and then I gotta grab that gold. Okay, so I'm going to start with the black here, or actually this is the Payne's Gray, and I'm going to go pretty washy. So let me just wet my brush and dip it in there. And again, that's about a 50-50. And then tap, tap, tap a little bit off. And so see, I've got quite a light color here. And really, you know, use the color you want. I kind of wanted like a blackbird, so it looked a little bit almost Halloween type of look. And then I did go around the feathers a bit. And now I'm just gonna kind of go in and play with those colors. So how about we add, let's see, you know, how about if we add a little bit of our turkey blue. We all love that. So I'll just add a tiny bit of that. Actually, let's see here. Let's go with the brighter blue. And I want it pretty wet. I don't know if you can tell, but this brush is really soft. Hi, Tracy. And then I'll just tap in here and there. Let the watercolors kind of do their thing that we love. There we go. And then I'm going to go to his body or his little wing here. So tapping in again. And I'm going to, pardon the camera if it shakes right now. Move that over. And then I'm just going to go in here. And I'm trying to leave a little bit of white space in there. Just some flicks with my brush. Point press. And then light pressure. It's so funny because when I'm thinking about what I'm doing, like when I'm painting with you guys here, versus when I'm just painting on my own, it always comes out so much different. It's like, oh, I did that so easily. But when I'm talking about what I'm doing, I tend to get a little bit distracted. So just kind of letting the colors blend and do their thing here, just for some interest. I'm working a little bit, actually, though. What I noticed in myself is, hi, Penny. Hi, Karina. Good to see you. I'm assuming this is Karina from Patreon. You're doing so well on there. I love seeing your paintings. Love seeing everybody's paintings there. So there we go. And then I'm just going to do these little tail feathers. And I want to have, I'm trying to keep some contrast between this feather, his body, and the tail feathers, just so it doesn't look too much like a big blob. Karina, by the way, I'm just learning how to do lives on Patreon, so I'm hoping I can do a live on there. Thank you, Penny. Cross fingers, because you know how tech challenged I am. So what I did right here, just because I want some contrast in here, is I went in with more like 80% pigment and 20% water. Oops, it's over a little bit, isn't it? And you could always lift in here if you wanted. So I'm kind of liking that. Maybe just some little feathers coming down in his belly. Look how pretty he is. Hi, Olivia. And then I'm just going to use really light pressure. Just for me, I tend to hold my brush pretty close to the ferrule because it gives me a little bit more control. And if I have some of you occasionally say, my hand's too shaky, if you want to use a pen and ink for his little tiny bird feet, you know, do that. No rules here and on my page, guys. Whatever works for you is perfect. And now, again, just like his feathers, I'm just adding in some darker value. Aw, thank you, Melissa. I talk out loud. You know what's so funny? Shadow 19, or not Shadow 19, Louise, is when I'm painting on YouTube, I almost feel like sometimes I can hear you guys. I know, I'm a weirdo, but I'm like, I almost want to ask you guys questions. Then I'm going to put some little feathers right at the top of his head, just because I think it's kind of cute. And I know that's kind of what my hair looks like sometimes in the morning. So just some little feathers there, just like that. Do I sell my art? I do have an Etsy shop. Thanks for asking, Shadow. I used to sell a lot of my work, And now I focus more on the teaching. But if you see something that you're like, that's so cute, I'd love to have that, just ask me. I sell the ones I do in my tutorials really cheap, like 30, 25 bucks, something like that. So I've got my little bird. I'm gonna let it dry before I do the orange beak. And every single day, I know, right? Julie, you said, Louise, I'm glad it's not me. Yeah, that's so funny. I love that you guys talk out loud. I wish I could hear you. That's why I love our group classes we do monthly, because you guys can actually interact. Yeah, well, you know what? Here we go. See, I'm always changing, girls. Let's do his little beak here. It might spread a little bit into the blue, but we don't care, right? Because we're not about perfection here. We're about play. There we go. Okay, now let's do those fun leaves. That's my favorite. So, you know, when you do yours, like this one actually turned out darker than this one. Perfect. Play with golds, play with, you know, all the different fall colors. I've got my other palette here, so I'll probably dip into that a bit, and it has all kinds of reds here. I'm gonna spin it around. Has a lot of reds. Burnt sienna would be really pretty in the leaves. But let's get our little branches first, keeping this really simple. So I'll just, again, the tip of my brush. Let's do a little leaf there, maybe one here, maybe a branch coming out here. And I'll just wash my brush, rinse it off, and then let's start with like a light orange. I want to use a little lighter orange. That one is a little bit dark. And I've got water on my brush, and let's create a leaf here. So point, press, opening up that belly, which is really easy to do with a soft brush. And we've got our first little leaf there. Then I might just dip into this yellow and point, press, wiggle a bit. There we go. And then I want a little bit yellower, so I am going to go into, let's see, let's go into a bit of our burnt sienna. Hi, Kim. Oh, I'll just be on here a few minutes. Thank you, Kim. You're so sweet. By the way, everybody, Kim Long paints some really fabulous animal paintings. Oops, that isn't the color. See, I got yap in here. I wanted to go in with just maybe mix a little bit of my orange or my yellow with a tiny bit of the yellow ochre. And then we'll go in here, point, press, like that. And then I want to add in some reddish in there, just because that's so fall, right? Love those fall colors. And a tiny bit more brown, something like that. Trying to keep it somewhat simple. Yeah, I like that. Okay. I'm going to add a bit more of color in this one here. So maybe just go in for our sienna. Love that brown sienna, yellow sienna. So see how that isn't moving? Okay, take care, Kim. Hi, Pat. Thank you so much. You guys are so sweet. Just dabbing in some of that yellow sienna. And let's go over to the other side. So I'll start again with some of the brown. Pick up some of that out of my palette and just going to kind of draw in some little branches, maybe up here. And now we'll just fill in. Hi, Diamond. Thank you. Diamond Painting Cutie. That's a cute name. And then going back into a little bit of that orange. So you can see here, I love mixing my colors. Point press, point press, point press, point press. And I'm just kind of dabbing to get that fun little edge on my leaves. Maybe an oranger. Or, ooh, you know what? We still need to add some gold, don't we? Point press, and little interesting shapes for those edges. There we go. Let's try a gold leaf in there. Here we go. Hi, Bruce Wagner. Thank you. And I typically, when I'm using my my metallics, I will use them quite thick because they just show up better. And I also, whenever I go into my pans, I try to go in with the side of my brush. Hi, Denise Frazier. I try not to go in with my point. So let's create a little gold leaf here. Point, press, and this soft brush, you can really open up that belly. There we go. So there's our one gold leaf. Isn't that pretty? I feel like we could, so I'm adding in a few more than I did here. But let's add in maybe one here. So I'll go back in there, pick up some of that gold paint, and we'll create another little leaf here. Point, press, open that belly. Like that. And maybe another one here. Let's see. Where do we want another one? So this is where it's so funny. This is where I always think I can hear you guys talking. Like you're telling me, put it there, but I can't hear you guys, unfortunately. Let's see. I feel like I want one right here. Point, press, something like that. There we go. I kind of like that. I feel like I want a little bit more red. Let me grab some red here. I wish you could see my palette over here to the side. I really never know what colors I'm putting on because all my colors mix in my palette. I can try and show you here. So see all these colors? They just kind of mix, and that's why I don't clean my palette a lot, because I love having colors I've created in my palette and I can kind of use them again. There we go. Oh, and we need to do his eye. Hi, Lauren. Isn't that gold so pretty? Hannah's Net, love that. Yeah, I always, don't forget to swipe the, oh, thank you, Penny. That's nice. Yeah, it does help me get a little bit the notices out to you guys if people are liking them. Yeah, I love this gold. And by the way, you guys, you know, I don't mention it enough. It may be, you know, I buy the whole thing, the series, but you can buy them individual. So this one that you see me use a lot, it's my favorite. I buy tons of these, is Brilliant Gold, by the way. And it's pretty bright. So let's go in for his little eye there. I think what I'll do is use my brush just to paint a little dot in the middle for his eyeball. And then what I'm going to do, hi Jean, hi Lauren. Oh, you have that gold? Thank you, girls, you're so sweet. Okay, bye Jean. So you have MABs. I love her paints. I've been using them for several years, and this one I just buy over and over again. So for the pen, I'm just going to do kind of like a little teardrop. Just like that. Very simple. And you could even use this for his little feet. I don't want to get too detailed. I tend to want to start getting in there and doing all kinds of fun stuff. What, Steve? Stephen Cronin, huh? Has the worst palette but produces the masked awesome. Oh, interesting. I'll have to look Stephen Cronin up. So there is our gold. So I think I'm a bit done. I mean, I really was trying to keep this very simple. You could go in here and add pen and ink. You could add different colors, but I thought this was a cute little guy. And I'm so excited, you guys, because again, like I started this in, I don't know, I think, only a week. It's gonna be fall and I can't wait. Let me show you these. Look. Oh, okay. Actually, too, this is a good thing to show you. These are all the colors in here. This caramel color's actually really pretty. Brilliant gold is the one I showed you. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys these fun leaves too. And for those of you that love the angle brush, oh my gosh, I have a fun surprise for you. So what's in my opinion, I'm old too, Julie, but I have young kids. Oh, good, Louise. I'm glad. It's perfect. Don't touch it. Thank you, Lauren. I really have a hard time walking away. I know I re-listen sometimes to my videos and I'm like, oh my gosh, there I go again. I'll say I'm done like 5 times. I'm just gonna put my initials here. And again, you know, I have you guys ask sometimes if I sell these. I do. If you really see one you're interested in, just let me know. All right, well, I think I'm done. I hope you guys had fun with that and you give it a try. And for any of you, even in the free membership on Patreon, I love it because I get to see what you guys are doing. And maybe you'll make your bird purple or green or red. You know, take creative license. I love seeing what you guys do. Okay, everyone, it's so good to be back. Ula Lind Hansen, I'm so glad, Ula. You're welcome, Melissa. You're welcome, Karina. All right, I will see you all soon as my alarm is going off for some reason in here. Interesting. All right, everybody, I'm right here reminding you, you're an artist, and thanks for being here. I'll see you soon.